I'm Ted Foster. I direct the engineering management program and also the system engineering program, which we might refer to today. I'll introduce a couple more guests too. This is Anita Greiner here. She'll be speaking. Anita is one of our faculty members and teaches a project management course. She'll be telling you a little bit about her course and also giving a mini lecture as though you're actually attending perhaps maybe the first class in her course. And then Josh Herring here is an alumnus, actually one of her students, but he also co-teaches the project management course with Anita, and he'll be telling you about his experience as a student and also, I suppose, as he has transitioned from being a student into an employee, how I hope the engineering management program has helped him. So that's who we are. Let's get started. Let's see, is this was working before? Okay, good. So anyway, an overview. I'll give you the overview first. Josh will talk about the student experience, and Anita will tell you about project management and how it relates to the overall program. So why would you want to be an engineering manager? I think that's a complex question, partly because the nature of the work that an engineering manager does is complex. So that first bullet there, interest in dealing with multifaceted challenges, that's a pretty highfalutin way of presenting things. You may, at this point in your career, not be thinking about challenges as deep as that, but you may already be at the point of thinking that you're interested in that. Or you may be at the point where you just want to position yourself for advancement. I think usually that's what happens. People who come to the program see that they would like to advance in their career and they want to get some skills but in the kinds of things that they'll need as a manager: business, law, leadership, management, and finance. You might want to learn to lead groups. I think it's really exciting how a leader can accomplish a lot more with a group than he can by himself. He or she can by himself. So this one can be very inspirational. That is, what would you like to do in life that's bigger than you can do by yourself? And then the practical side is get some skills that you can use immediately on the job because they will produce results in your career immediately. And we've seen that over and over with students who write back and say, I was able to use today or this week something I just learned in class. Thank you so much for teaching me something that I wish I'd known. So let me just briefly talk about our program. It's an established program. It's been around 27 years, but for about 23 of those years, it was a split program where the technical side was taught here and the management side was taught initially at University College and later at University of Baltimore. And being a split program, it wasn't popular. There were about 8 students in it, and neither university seemed to care about it. So we decided to take it over and build it up as an individual program that we take pride and ownership in. So it's now in its rejuvenated form, which we'll tell you a little more about that. Fortunately, we have the, what have I done here? Okay, I guess we're all right. We have the privilege of living in a very rich environment. Lots of very good, experienced people in the Baltimore, Washington area who are anxious to teach and love teaching. So we can get very experienced people who are excellent in their field as practitioners, and they are looking for a way to pass along what they have learned to future generations. The program is very flexible. It's designed for working professionals, meaning most of the courses are in the evening. A few of them, well, within the management program, most of them are hybrid, which means 50% online and 50% face-to-face. I'll be saying again and again that you also are required to take technical courses to expand the technical side of your education, and most of those courses are also in the evening. So I just did a quick search this morning, and there are 10 tracks which you'll mention. Systems engineering, all the courses are in the evening. Electrical engineering, almost all. In fact, I'd say 80 to 90% of the technical courses that are required are also in the evening. So it's very flexible. We pride ourselves on a practical business approach, but it has to be combined with technical depth. And the program was always designed from the beginning to expand your skills both on the technical side and the management side. We have a very competent advisory board that oversees the program. In fact, they helped us design it, and they meet once or twice a year. We've met twice recently to review where the program is at the moment and to talk about what it needs to do in the future. So there are two programs here, both a master's program and a certificate program. And the master's program requires 10 courses, 30 credits, 6 management courses, and 4 technical. And of the 6 management courses, 4 are required core courses and 2 electives. And then the 4 technical courses can be from up to 10 different tracks. System engineering is one of those tracks. Cybersecurity is a new track we've added. And you can mix technical courses from multiple tracks if you wish. So you're not required to stick within one track. Also, there's a certificate, which is 4 courses. All the courses can be applied to the master's program. And the advantage of the certificate program is if you're not sure that you want to go on for a master's, you can start with a certificate. If you can, as all the courses transfer anyway, sometimes people apply for the certificate because they're not quite academically prepared for the entry into the master's program. So we allow you to start with a certificate to prove that you're ready for graduate school. Sometimes people have been out of undergraduate school for 10, 20, perhaps 30 years, are looking at going back to graduate school and not sure they're ready. So they say, let's just start with a certificate and see how we do. And you can keep taking more management courses than the 4 if you wish. You can take a lot of management courses and never take a technical course, but you'd only get the certificate. If you want the master's, then you have to take the 4 technical courses also. So here are what the courses look like. The core courses are here on the left side. The first discipline, project management, either the course that Anita teaches and will tell you about in a few moments, which is a general project management course, or one that's focused on systems engineering. So either of those will count. If you are interested in systems engineering as a track, I recommend that you take the project management course that has some more focus on system engineering than Anita's course. And then you need a people management course. We have one called Management, Leadership, and Communication, teaches all sorts of skills. And by the way, most of these core courses are described in your packet. You have a couple things. You have a fact sheet, and you also have the slides, a copy of the slides. The last 6 or 7 slides in your package are 1 slide per course, so you can just look at those in a little more detail. So there's a lot of things that you need to know about leading people. So that's an essential skill, and we have a course focused just on the leadership of people. Then our advisory board believes law and ethics both are very important for a manager. So this is a required course. That is, you can't escape without learning something about law and ethics. But people who take the course love it. I think it's a little perhaps difficult if you don't know how to think in legal terms. It's a little difficult to learn to do that. We had one person who liked it so much that he quit the program and went to law school. He said, great, this is what I want to do. In addition to that, you have a requirement for a financial course, and you have 2 versions of that. One, financial management, really is focused more on the finances of a company, the balance sheet, cash flow, that kind of thing. Whereas the other course, decision making, assumes that you know a little bit about company finance, but you want to know how do you make decisions based on your knowledge of finance and where the company is going. So more the decision making process. As I said, you are required to take at least 2 management electives. They're listed on the next slide. And you have to take 4 technical courses in engineering or information technology, which should have been listed there. So you see that 10 disciplines. This one, chemical and biochemical regulatory engineering, has to do with the regulations really for the biotech industry. That's a very popular track. Cybersecurity is a very popular track because the need is very great. System engineering is very popular. The last time I checked, 44% of the engineering management students were in that track. I also mentioned at the beginning we have a whole master's program in system engineering. So some people are in the master's program and some are just in the track within the engineering program, engineering management program. These are generally the management electives. There's probably a couple not listed here, but leading teams and organizations is an important one. Most of my career was in leading teams and organizations, so I thought we needed to have a course in that. But strategic management helps you understand how managers make decisions about the future of the company. The introduction to system engineering, which is part of the system engineering master's program, is also accepted as a management course. In fact, this course counts as either a management course or a technical course, depending on which you need to fill out your 10. And then a completely online course, how to lead global teams, but by doing it virtually, taught in the summer. A brand new course in quality engineering and management, taught by a branch chief at the Army Research Labs in Adelphi, I guess. And he's really a sharp guy. We've been evolving this course over about a year. We finally converged on this. My personal background when I was in industry, I'll show you that on another slide, this was extremely important for one phase of my career. It may look like motherhood, but it's a quantitative kind of subject. It involves Six Sigma, statistics, all sorts of things, and how you get a quality product designed and manufactured. Decision and risk analysis is a very important subject. If you're going to be an engineer, a system engineer, or a manager, you need to make complex decisions, and this really helps you think through the quantitative side of decision making. Some people are very interested in innovation and in starting new companies. This course is taught by a member of our faculty who has started 4 companies successfully. I think he still runs all 4 of them. Plus he's assistant director of our biotech program. So he started biotech companies. Also, there's a management project that at the moment is focused on analyzing various approaches to alternate energy. As I mentioned before, we have a new track in cybersecurity. These are management courses in cybersecurity, except that one will count as management or technical. And the last slide in your packet there lists both the management and the technical courses in cybersecurity. So if you choose to do cybersecurity, you can do some management electives, but if you want the technical side, if you want cybersecurity courses to fulfill your technical requirement, then you need to take the courses that are technical cybersecurity courses. They're generally oriented toward computer science. So I mentioned before the certificate. You can see that the courses are the same as the core courses I mentioned before, and many people like to start down this path. I want to show my background here to make a particular point. I worked at Westinghouse for 34 of those 36 years. Westinghouse Electronics, which is right at the airport. In the last couple of years, they were bought out by Northrop Grumman. And I started out in a career with going to Johns Hopkins at Westinghouse expense and getting a PhD and preparing for a technical career. I did that 2 or 3 years and discovered I don't like this. It's probably a mistake. I've had a particular experience. I was working on a research project with a very sharp engineer, much sharper than me. And it was very clear to me that I would never be able to compete with people like him. He was just highly enthusiastic about real detailed technical things. And even though I had put in the effort to get that PhD, it wasn't what I really was. So fortunately, after being a senior engineer doing these development projects for a while, I had the opportunity to switch to management. And these switches, these changes in your career generally are gradual. You don't all of a sudden become a manager one day when you were the engineer the other day. But in my case, my manager had won a very prestigious Westinghouse Fellowship to go to any place he went. He chose Cambridge University. And for the year that he went away, he said, "Would you take my group while I'm gone?" And great, my chance. So he went away for a year, and during that year I learned to, take on management responsibilities. And when he came back, he said, "You did well, why don't we just split the group? You take this half and I'll take this half." And we went our separate ways. But that was my break. But the break occurred because I had figured out that I don't want to do the detailed technical work anymore. And I think I had sort of made that clear, so when an opportunity came, I took it. So I got a chance to supervise 10 engineers, then later 35 engineers, and here lots of them, but this was at the program level. Very high-speed integrated circuits was a technology that the government was sponsoring at the time. It was a $57 million program back in 1985. And then after doing that kind of thing for a while, my big break was getting to go to the corporate research labs in Pittsburgh to be a general manager. And we had a $40 million per year budget, which we had to raise ourselves. Go out and win $40 million every year to support research. It's a tough job. So we really learned how to be very successful at bringing in $40 million a year. And then Westinghouse collapsed, and Northrop Grumman bought the defense electronics part. So then my same job there became director of the Science and Technology Center. One day you're doing this, the next day you're doing it for another company, but you don't change offices, you just change companies. When I finished, that sort of fell apart eventually, and then I came here 12 years ago. But my point in all of this is not me so much as it is this decision process, switching to management. If, generally anybody who is serious about this whole thing starts as an engineer or a technical person. And you generally get hired for your technical ability. You don't get hired for your management ability. But somewhere, if you decide that you want to make a switch, you'll realize that you need some skills. So this program is designed, if this is the kind of thing that that you're thinking about making that kind of switch, then this is the kind of program that you might need. So we have illustrious faculty. I'll just quickly switch through these. And Anita, I won't introduce her because she'll be here speaking in a moment. But we have very strong faculty, and Alyssa teaches the people management courses. Mike Oliver and Richard Wilson on the next slide co-teach the law and ethics course. Bob Fenton teaches the financial decision making and strategic management course. Sandy Peterson and one other CPA teach different sections of the financial management course, the one that deals with company finance. Toby Galker, Dr. Galker also is another teacher for this people management course. Jeff Ray from Northrop Grumman teaches the system engineering alternative to project management. He also teaches the intro course. And I mentioned before, Dr. Brodel, who has founded several biotech companies, teaches our innovation course. This slide shows you the fall schedule, and it illustrates that the core courses are all taught every semester. So you don't have to worry about, can I get my courses? You see that they're coming up in the fall, generally 4:30 to 7. There's an occasional 6 to 8:45 course. And this one here is a little later, 7:10 to 9:40. So first of all, let me see if there are any questions on what I've said so far. You can ask questions now, you can ask questions at the end, or come up privately and talk later after the session. If there aren't any questions, I'll introduce Josh. Doesn't sound like there are any, so come on up.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I want to have kind of an informal conversation.
I'm going to give you my mic while we're at it.
All right.
So clip this on your shirt. Put this, maybe what's clipping on the 20 pins right about here.
Perfect. All right. So I was real glad that Dr. Foster asked me to come here today because I was sitting in this very seat about 4 years ago. I guess it was this time in 2008. I was actually an undergrad here at UMBC in the mechanical engineering program, just getting ready to graduate. And I was a little undecided what I wanted to do. I had accepted a job at Northrop Grumman in the mechanical engineering program there, in a rotational program actually. And I was just kind of undecided. I got my degree in mechanical engineering. I knew at some point I wanted to get into something more, some sort of leadership. I wasn't sure if I wanted to take a purely technical route and get involved in managing very technical teams, or more of a functional management route where I was leading people and doing some of the more functional things that managers do. And I was looking at PhD programs and master's programs in systems engineering and mechanical engineering and engineering management, MBAs, and really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I had actually got it into Northrop Grumman and made it partially through the summer that year before I kind of made a decision. And the reason I chose the engineering management program is because I felt that it offered me the most flexibility. There's the technical aspect that I could use if I decided to take a more technical track in my career. Coming from UMBC, I knew that the technical programs here are top-notch. I knew all the faculty in the mechanical engineering programs and really enjoyed, enjoyed my time doing that here. But I also wanted to taste some of that management piece and not really necessarily move right into management. Like Dr. Foster said, it's not always a decision you make. I wasn't really expecting that I would just graduate, quit my job, and apply for management positions. But I want to be prepared because a lot of times these things happen in the same way for Dr. Foster, where an opportunity just comes up. It's not something you planned for, but it's there. And I thought that having this degree in engineering management would position me to take advantage of those opportunities when they came up. So I got started. Dr. Foster mentioned the split program that they used to have, and when I started, it was still kind of in the end phase of when that split was here, where I was taking some of the technical classes here, a few of the management classes here, and a few management classes through University of Baltimore. The first thing I'll say is we're very fortunate that there are more and more classes here at UMBC. I really, really enjoyed the UMBC classes. I think that they're much more practical. They're hands-on. Anita will talk a lot about the projects that go on in her class, but they really get top-notch professors that are not just reading from a book. These are people with tons and tons of experience, and I'll embarrass Anita a little bit here because she probably won't mention this, but she was actually the technical editor for Project Management for Dummies. So we have the person that wrote the book on project management teaching the project management classes. We've got the folks that are teaching the virtual and global teams classes that do that full time. This is their hobby, is to come and share that information with you and help students kind of get into those fields. I think my favorite parts of the program are the projects, so that the hands-on things. You actually get to build things in the systems engineering classes and the project classes. You are working on a project kind of from day one through the end. In the project management class, we'll talk about a project that the students do where they're actually interfacing with industry. So the Project Management Institute, kind of the leading organization on project management, partners with us and sponsors us. And we have the president of the Baltimore chapter is in probably 4 or 5 times a semester coming and sharing information and treating the students as if they were project managers, and they do manage a project. So I really like that experience. What I found that I gained from the program, as I said, was that ability to jump on opportunities as they come up. So when I started, and I was in the program part-time for, I think, 3.5 years. I graduated this August, 2011. I was a mechanical engineer at Northrop Grumman, doing strictly mechanical engineering. And much like Dr. Foster, I realized kind of quickly I enjoyed learning about the mechanical engineering a lot more than I enjoyed doing it. I still want to be involved in those types of engineering complex problems, but I wanted to see the bigger picture. So being in this program, and folks knew that I was in this program, my management, they started to see that, one, I had a desire to move into management and take on bigger responsibilities, and this was part of my commitment to that. So I had an opportunity to move into a business development and strategic planning type of role, and I spent about 9 months doing that on kind of a detail, and that was really the real big picture stuff. So a lot of what we do in kind of the financial management course here, where you look at from a business perspective, how is your cash moving? Are you doing well? Are you not doing well? Are there areas where operationally you could do better? That I got to apply there. From there, we're about 1.5 years into the program now. I got word from someone in another division of Northrop Grumman that they were looking for kind of a deputy manager. Doing a little bit of project management, a little bit of people management, a little bit of miscellaneous, whatever everyone needs. And I jumped on it, and I had said that, I'm in this program, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So I got to go and do that. And I got to work on a lot more of those soft skills. It's another thing that I really like about this program, that folks, I don't know if you can get in a more technical program. So if you were looking at just a straight systems engineering program, you will become very good at doing systems engineering and documenting requirements and going through the life cycle, but you don't know how to necessarily work with the people, and you can't do much without working with people. So I got to practice a lot of that, managing projects, little kind of mini projects and research and development and side projects that were not ready to be fully kicked off. And then I had another opportunity come up right after I had taken Anita's project management course. There were project consultant positions opening up at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. I had just taken the project management course. I had become certified as a project management professional, which is the Project Management Institute certification, and is kind of the standard for project management. And that course does qualify you for the education portion of that requirement. So I had these things, I had the credential, I applied and was accepted for that position. So now I was in a much more project management oriented role, kind of where I wanted to be. I thought I'd be maybe 1 year or 2 after I graduated, I'd be ready to jump on these positions. And I was kind of already there, so I was thrilled with that. Over the last year of my time in the program, I took a lot more of the technical classes, the decision and risk analysis, which is a great class that combines kind of the technical piece, the analysis of risk and decisions, and what path should I take when I'm given the option between several different things. And I got to really apply a lot of that hands-on and thinking about how I was doing my work. And that was really what I think the most beneficial part of this program was for me. Everything I did in each class, I could kind of take back and start applying immediately. And that's how I moved kind of quickly through different career steps that I think I wouldn't have been able to had I not been in this program. Because when I'm in a risk analysis course and I'm coming back and talking to my manager and asking questions, are we doing this? Are we analyzing our risks this way? Have we thought about doing this? She says, oh, you know what? Someone needs to be thinking about that and having these conversations. Why don't you go and take that role on? So that's kind of a speed round through not only my time here in the program, but how I applied it and how I've been able to move up and am now managing, multi-million-dollar projects in the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So I think that if you have questions about the program, please speak up. I think that it's a great program. It's not for everyone, but it is perfect for people that want flexibility. They know they want to be an engineering manager, or they're kind of on the fence between technical and management and just want to be prepared to take either road. Any questions? All right. How many people are full-time students or looking to be full-time students, and how many are going to be part-time? Part-time, a few. We have some full-time? Okay. So I think the program works well for both of those as well. As I said, I was part-time, so I was able to apply a lot of that right away. I think if you're full-time, you have those opportunities to go out and show that you've achieved that degree and make moves after that.
Is there a time?
What's that?
Is there a time limit for completion?
Dr. Foster? 5 years, that's what I thought, yeah. Which I think, I took 1 to 2 classes a semester. I think 2 is challenging, especially if you're working full-time. If you're a full-time student, not so much, but you can easily take 1 to 2 a semester and proceed pretty quickly through the program. And there's a lot of classes offered over the summer, which was really nice because it's a kind of the shorter semester. You can knock things out pretty quickly.
And the 5-year time limit doesn't turn out to be a very hard limit, because people who say drop out and come back after a couple of years, they just want to get reinstated, and you appeal to the graduate school, give me more time, they say fine. So I've never seen anybody turn it down for continue. If you're making progress at the 5-year point, they allow you to complete.
Well, if anyone has questions at any point between now and you make a decision, you can email me. It's joshua.herring, you saw my name, at gmail.com, and I'm happy to speak with any of you if you have specific questions about my situation or looking for advice or anything. I love working with folks that are interested in the program.
Thanks, Josh. Will you give your microphone to me?
Sure.
All right. Boy, you guys are a pretty quiet bunch. Let's get excited. Let's get animated. So, okay, I don't have a lot of time with you today, so what I really want to do is just impart a little bit about why I teach here and a little bit about my class as a representative example of many of the classes that you'll encounter here. So one of the central themes that you've heard today is the fact that most, if not all, I believe, of the instructors here actually do what they teach for a living. So this is a side hobby for me, to come and do this at night and to work with students during the course of the semester. My full-time job is with the federal government, Medicare and Medicaid. Josh actually works with me, and my goal in teaching here is to train people that I would hire. So I want them to be that good in project management that I would hire them, and I have. So at CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, I'm the director of a program management office, or a PMO, in an area of CMS that focuses on innovation. So we have the luxury of having a lot of funding at our disposal to incubate around ideas for transforming the care delivery system in healthcare. So over 85 million beneficiaries are covered by health insurance that you all pay for. 20 cents out of every tax dollar goes to Medicare and Medicaid. So we have a fiduciary responsibility to protect that money, to manage our projects well. The Innovation Center at CMS has a $10 billion 10-year budget cycle. So we've spent about half of that in our first year and a half of operations, with another $4 or $5 billion to go in the next couple of years. And my PMO has about 22 project managers in it that their job is to run these projects and programs, to design and work with the experts in their project team, design a model for care delivery. Might be a different way that we pay for a particular bundle of services that a Medicare beneficiary would get at a hospital setting. And so we design the program, we launch it in industry, we get hospitals, for example, to sign up to be participants in our programs. We fund them for their participation. We see and evaluate, is it working? And if it works, we get to scale it to the National Medicare program. So that's a little bit about the Innovation Center. So we've got a portfolio of projects somewhere floating around the 65 number. We've got about 65 active projects going on, 22 project managers. So unfortunately, I don't have enough PMs to cover all these projects yet, but that is our goal. So that's kind of my normal job, is to stand up a PMO, to have these excellent project managers that dispatch inside these major national programs that get attention all the way up to the White House on a weekly basis. How are things going? What's your schedule look like? What's your budget burn? What solicitations do you have in flight? What are the major risks impacting and threatening your project? What issues are you dealing with? What decisions are needed? Well, this data doesn't just materialize out of thin air. There has to be somebody in the project team who has that focus and that job, so that they know, I have to create a schedule, I have to create a work breakdown structure. I should think about making sure my team is creating adequate requirements. So that's their job. The other people on their project team have different jobs. They might be a policy expert, they might be a lawyer or attorney on that project. They might be somebody that's really great in public policy, in science, research, but they're not a project manager. So my PM comes into that team and augments that resource with their particular skill set. So that's what I do there. What I do here is try to bring about a new culture of project management experts. And the 14 semesters or so that I've been teaching here, about 400 students pass through my course. And it's one of the earlier courses that folks take in the program. And I always ask a question on the first day. I say, who in here has a dream to be a project manager? And maybe one hand goes up, maybe two, if I'm lucky. I say, does anybody know what a PMP is? And they're like, project management plan? Maybe I'll get that one. But more than likely, nobody understands what a PMP credential is. By the end of the class, I ask the same question, and inadvertently, 75% of the hands go up, that they're interested in being a project manager, that they're interested in learning more about it, potentially getting certified, moving into a management track. But they didn't know enough or have the language in the first class to necessarily understand that that was a desired result for them. And so that's my goal, is to train people as project managers in my course that I would hire that are that good. So that's why I do this, because I actually need a workforce, right? The federal government needs good project managers. So it kind of bridges both of my worlds. So I have a lot of slides here. We're not going to go through them. I'm going to touch on a couple of them just as illustrative examples of some of the core content areas of the class. And I apologize for all the flipping. Probably should have just used the slideshow view. Okay, so there are two core characteristics of what makes up a project, because these skills that I've mentioned about understanding how to create a work breakdown structure or create a schedule or do a risk assessment, these aren't skills that you would necessarily apply to a particular set of activities that are going on. If you have an assembly line that's pumping out a car, and every single time that car comes off the conveyor belt, it's the exact same car, exact same specifications as the prior car. Well, maybe there's some inherent risk in the fact that the machine parts could break, but scheduling, maybe not in the same sense as we talk about a project. Project team probably are the technicians that are here and that are here every day. So you don't need that same skill set to apply to what we call operations and maintenance work. So a project has two characteristics that make it special enough to warrant this extra attention and this extra special skill set. One is that it's temporary in nature, so it has a beginning and an end. So there's this body of knowledge that the Project Management Institute puts out every couple of years called the Project Management Body of Knowledge. Imagine that. And we call it the PMBOK in the biz, the PMBOK. And so it defines a project as having a start and an end date, and that it produces a unique product, service, or result. So that assembly line car is not unique. It's the same exact thing, hopefully, if there's a high quality standard, coming off that conveyor belt every time. So by definition, all of these skills and tools wouldn't be applied in that scenario. So a project has to have a start and end, and it has to produce a unique product, service, or result. Then it warrants our attention as project managers. So project management is what the project manager does. So they apply this toolkit, this set of methodologies and standards and processes and knowledge to project work. So that's really project management as an umbrella, which is what the course goes through, but the project manager is the person who's executing upon all this project management assets. Okay, all right, so who in here has heard of a term called the triple constraint. Okay. Oh, no fair. So the triple constraint is the arch nemesis of the project manager. It's our job to make sure that this triple constraint remains aligned because it has three really important sides to it. There's the what it is we're here to produce. Why we're all here to produce this thing. It's the scope. It's the requirements. It's the technical criteria upon which we'll be assessed if we did what we said we were going to do. We have resources, budget, people, technology, software, stuff, right? We need stuff in order to produce that thing. And then there is how long we have to produce that stuff with the resources at our disposal. So you can't have one side be longer than the other. You have to have these sides connect in some way. For example, if all of a sudden you're producing, and you know in business, we always hear about widgets, right? This artificial thing that is produced in this wonderful land of business academia. So if there's 10 widgets that we're producing, and we have 10 days and $10, right? 10, 10, 10. So my triple constraint is perfectly balanced right now. If I, as the project manager, stick to all three of those sides being 10, 10, 10, I'm gold. But all of a sudden, my boss comes in and goes, you know how I told you 10 widgets was all I needed? Well, we need to double that order, but sorry, you don't have any more time and no more money. So now all of a sudden, one of my sides is at 20 and the other two are still at 10. So I'm no longer aligned. So I, as a project manager, have no hope of producing 20 widgets with 10 days and $10. So I have a problem. So it's the project manager's job to try and get these things back in shape. So instead of watching the retreating boss that has just given me that edict and turned away, I say, wait, let's talk about that for a minute. I understand that you need 20 of them now, but here are our options. Either you give me more time and likely more money as well, or you give me a lot more money and no more time, and I can hire all this new staff to get it done in the same time, the same 10 days. But I can't do it without adjusting one or both of those other sides. So the triple constraint is a concept that you can convey to your manager in an elevator. So every project manager should understand the triple constraint, be able to ask those questions to the retreating boss that's leaving them in the dust. Wait a minute, can I have just a minute to talk to you about impacts? There's this concept called the triple constraint that I can explain to you in 30 seconds to help demonstrate, the challenge I'm up against right now. And you talk to them about this construct. So this is a leadership tool that you can help, but this is also the job of the PM to maintain connections between each of these sides. Very classic concept, very traditional, fundamentally rooted in project management science. It's evolved a lot since then. There's layers of risk and quality and a lot of other competing constraints that the PM also has to balance. But this is the core of why the project manager exists as a role on a team, is to keep these things aligned. Okay, so I'm going to bring up a graphic that I don't want anyone to run from the room screaming about, but it is what I tell the class they will leave with an understanding of every single box on this chart. Again, I apologize for all the flipping. So I mentioned the PMBOK, or the Project Management Body of Knowledge. Well, it has 9 knowledge areas: integration, scope, time, cost, quality, HR, communications, risk, and procurement. And then there's a 10th silent one, which is project management ethics. So project manager has to know all these things, has to know how to do them all. And this is the graphic that we walk through in the class. Every week we unfold or open up a new box of fun, a new box of project management knowledge. And at the end of the class, we've gone through and learned and actually applied all of these things. So for example, is there a pointer on here? Yeah. Okay. Project integration management. So all of these different processes up here are lumped into an area called integration management. So we create a project charter, which is a document that you create at the beginning of a project to lay out very high-level scope of what it is we're here to do, what are the major risks and issues, who are the project manager or project managers, if you have the luxury of having more than one, who is this project going to serve, so who are my stakeholders, and then ultimately you sign it, or not you, your sponsor signs it, and it authorizes the PM to begin a project and start applying things. So it's the first artifact, and I don't mean archaeological artifacts. In project management lingo, we call these things artifacts. My boss, my center director at the Innovation Center, hates the word artifact. And so whenever I'm talking to him about things, I'm like, Rick, we need to get all of our project management artifacts loaded up onto our SharePoint site. And he's like, it sounds like you're digging for bones in the back of a yard. Call them deliverables, call them something else. But artifacts is what we always come back to. Artifacts are what project managers produce, and we produce them well. Project charters, we've got a lot of management plans, we've got change control. Then we move very quickly into something called scope management. So all of you probably are familiar with the concept of a requirement. So you don't want to be building off in any direction without a set of defined requirements. So that is inherently the scope of what it is the project is trying to produce. It might be a set of technical requirements and business requirements mixed together. It might be a collection of the specifications that the customer is expecting the end product to contain. They are product specifications, the document. Then we take that and evolve that into what's called a work breakdown structure. And I'll show you a quick example of these. A work breakdown structure is taking that scope document, that requirements document, and organizing it into logical groups of deliverables so that you know at the end of the day you produced all the stuff that you needed to produce to satisfy the requirements. You iterate your work breakdown structure into something called a schedule, which takes all of those work packages in the WBS, or work breakdown structure, and organizes them logically through time. So you take a work package which might be a design document. So a design document is a box on a work breakdown structure. But there's a couple of things, activities that you need to do in order to produce that design document. So the schedule is where you start adding in those layers of activities, and also who needs to do it. How long is it going to take? Is this design document and its supporting activities related to anything else about my project? Or can I do it whenever I want? Probably not. You probably have to wait until you have your requirements complete before you do your design document, for example. So there's connective tissue between all these activities, and the schedule is where you demonstrate that and articulate that. Time management, that's our schedule. Cost management, obviously nothing happens for free, right? There's no such thing as a free lunch, although looks like Ted might have tried to do that here today. So we have our budget, the resources that we have. We have quality management, which is making sure that we've conformed to our requirements. Are we producing a product that aligns with the requirements of what our customer is expecting? Is it of high quality? Is it meeting our specifications? HR, of course, we can't do anything alone, so we need a team of people. So we have to think about what types of skill sets do I need? I need a programmer, I need a web designer, I need a librarian, I need a budget person, I need a project manager, of course, because you're thinking about these things. So you have to put together your team and when you need to engage your team according to the schedule of when you need them. Communications management. So there's arbitrary percentages that are thrown around, but somewhere between 75% and 85% of a project manager's time is talking, communicating, emailing, statusing, interacting with people. And so a lot of communications knowledge has to be imparted to a project manager, and also strategically how they apply their method of communication to the right audience. I wouldn't walk into my senior boss's office and lay down a 45-page schedule in front of them and say, you asked in the hall the other day where we were at with our project, here you go. He'd wipe it on the floor and be like, are you kidding me? So I don't present information, I don't communicate to that in particular stakeholder in that way. I would take a nice, concise PowerPoint slide with 5 critical milestones on it and show that that last one's red because we're at a risk of not meeting that if our order from XYZ distributor isn't in on time. Here's what you need to know. Strategic delivery of information, communications. So we focus on that a lot. Risk management and procurement. So risk management, again, is managing risks. So risks are things that might hurt us. They're also things that might help us. So there are opportunities that we want to think about. So there's a lot of discipline and depth in the area of risk management. It's my favorite area of this whole picture is risk management. It's the funnest topic to talk about. The students get more animated than any other class when we're throwing Post-it notes up on the wall about what are the possible threats and opportunities to our project. Our project is, I'll segue into that, the class actually organizes into teams, and they have to plan and use all of these skills that they've learned on a real project. So we actually plan and execute a Project Management Institute, a PMI site meeting that's held here at the Tech Center. And we're having the event next Tuesday. So you all are welcome to come, and I'll give Dr. Foster information on how you can register. That's the culmination of their semester-long effort. So they go through each of these areas, they learn it, then they apply it. So we learn about a project charter, they create a project charter for our class project. We learn about a requirements document, they create the requirements document. Work breakdown structure, schedule, risk register, lessons learned repository, all of these things are actually taught and applied. And so the whole semester they work on this, and then next Tuesday they get to come and have an awesome night with great catering and food and presentations by nationally, internationally regarded experts that are going to come and present to an audience of 100 people. And we have sponsors. We've got several $1,000s that are donated to the class every semester so that we can buy catering and room reservations and all the things that you need. and then they get to come and sit and have this great night of project management expertise. So that's the project that they go through, where they actually apply what they've learned. Anything else you think I should share about that? Registration's next to, or
Don't you have a slide on it?
not in here. I have the website I was going to show. Yeah.
Not very clear.
Okay.
That doesn't work.
Okay.
It's broken for some reason.
Okay. All right. And so as part of our communications learning, we create an external website for the class. And so this is our website that anyone in the world can go to, this URL, and learn about all the things that the class has produced in order to pull this event off. So we've got our information about our sponsors, Continuing and Professional Studies, UMBC Training Centers, and PMI are our corporate sponsors. And then over here on the left, there's lots of links to different things that they've created. So their actual action item tracker, their schedule, their work breakdown structure, their requirements document, everything is stored on this externally facing website that anyone coming to our event or any of our sponsors at any time can go out here and learn about what's going on. Is my investment going well? Eric Perlstein, the president of PMI Baltimore, likes to ask. We say, Eric, go check out the website. We've got your status reports out there. Everything's ready to go. The budget, you can look at anything. It's all here on our external facing website. We have an internal website that uses Blackboard, which is the UMBC online teaching tool. And that's like our internal corporate secret area. So that's where we have a lot of announcements and debates and information and what do we want to put on our public site discussions. This is the public facing version of our project. So again, I encourage you to go look at the site, sites.google.com/a/umbc.edu/SP2012 class event. But I'll make sure that Ted has that URL. So hopefully that gives you a very quick and expeditious preview of my class, but you can take what you've seen about my class and apply that to the way that all these classes are taught. They might have a different way that they impart their learning, but it's at the core of what they do and at the core of what they believe. They do it as a full-time job. They come here for fun and try to get everyone here as excited about their area as they are. And there's another instructor who teaches a systems engineering course, Paul, and he always says, stop stealing the students. Stop stealing them to be project managers. They should be engineers. Like, I'll go toe-to-toe with you, Paul, because I want them all to be project managers. So we all kind of compete to get everybody as excited about our area as we are, so that I can hire all of you one day.
That's with HTTPS. You need a login ID?
No.
Okay. Eric mentioned last night that he had a bunch of extra slots in that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what he said. It sounded like about 12 or 16 slots were not taken so far.
Right.
Meaning that could these people take those slots?
There will be a few more registrations we need to get in, like yourself and any other folks from training centers that are interested. And then we're going to have a window of seats that are open for free, event participation, typically $20 for any PMI event, but they pay for us to go for free. So what I'll do is, in the next day or two, figure out what remaining seats we have and communicate that to you. And if anybody's interested in registering and coming for free next Tuesday, you're more than welcome.
Anybody who's interested in this, send me an email, tfoster@umbc.edu, and I will forward you, the information. Mm-hmm. Because normally you have to pay $20. The PMI members who are coming have to pay the $20, mm-hmm. but UMBC students don't. But there's a certain number of slots that are available.
Right.
And so you want to get one of those slots, and I think this will be enough.
Right.
But it's a way of seeing what the team does at the end of the semester. It's a culmination of a semester's work.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Did you want to show any of your other slides?
No, I think we're out of time.
Okay,
and
well, let me have my
a question? All right. Yes.
Well, aside from what I would learn in this program, what do you think has the most value in the eyes of an employer? The PMP certification, or earning this bachelor's, this master's program?
Well, the more things you can do to layer and build your resume, the better. So I will say that thousands and thousands of resumes come across my desk all the time, over the course of the last year at least. And what I look for is stacking the deck in order to have a successful employee, right? So if they have the PMP, that's really my first screen as a PMO director. If they don't have a PMP, I probably won't entertain an interview with this individual, especially if it's at a higher grade. If it's a lower level position, then I might. There's a CAPM certification, which is kind of the little sister to the PMP. It's also through PMI. And so a lot of my students go and take the CAP-M, which is a lower level certification that doesn't require as many years of experience. So if I see a CAP-M credential along with a master's degree in a relevant field, I'll definitely look at it. But if you put that same individual up against somebody that has a master's degree and a PMP, I'll probably opt for that. So the credential helps. If they don't have a master's degree, I can't even have a conversation with them. In the hiring structure I have, you have to have a master's to get into my level of the government where I have positions. So I think you just need to stack the deck in your favor. Get as many, master's degrees is definitely a great place to start. After that, don't stop. Think about PhDs, think about an additional master's that might supplement a skill set. Think about credentials through PMI, through IEEE, through NCOSE, through any of the professional organizations that support your area, and just stack up your resume. Don't get so ridiculous, though, that your acronyms don't fit on your business card, because that's a turnoff when you see they've got all these certifications. Well, is that all they do is take certifications? So, I mean, take ones that are targeted, that are going to help you kind of move along in your career path.
Also, I've been considering an MBA for a while, and I'm not necessarily committed to a goal of being a project manager, but I do have higher aspirations from just being a technical engineer. So would you say that having the project manager masters limits my potential when compared to getting an MBA?
Well, I have an MBA. So I actually went to UMBC in my undergrad. So I was here in '95. My degree was in industrial organizational psychology. And then I went and did an MBA with a concentration in MIS at University of Baltimore. There was no, and this is not a Master's of Project Management. This is one course in the Systems Engineering and Engineering Management program. So this degree would be in engineering management. That up against an MBA really depends on what you're looking for your job to be. So an MBA is very generalized. You kind of go through so many different domains that I would, as an employer, want to see, well, what's your specialty? And engineering management, you're specializing in how to manage projects that have an engineering component. You don't have 45 credits in the things that I'm never going to need you to do for me. So I think the MBA is a much more generalized degree, and if you really have no idea of what you want to do, it might be a good place to go. But if you have an idea of engineering or a particular specialty being your focus, I would opt to go in that direction. Okay. Any other questions? And of course, you can always contact me as well, Anita.Greiner at umbc.edu. Happy to talk to any of you. Okay. All right. Thanks for coming.
So there's 1 or 2 slides here to finish up things. If I could hold your attention a moment. Thank you. So you've already seen, she's already mentioned this panel discussion, but let me also mention that most of our classes have some kind of project, and at the end of the semester there's a project presentation by the students. So I've started collecting from my faculty all the dates that are coming up when there's going to be presentations, and they'll be taking place in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So if you're interested in going to see what the students are presenting at the end of any particular class, let me know, email me, and I'll send you back a list of this is the course, this is the night, this is the time, and what the students will be presenting. So I think that's a real opportunity. You get to really see not only what a class looks like, but what the students got out of it. For the master's, how do you apply? You just apply online. It's very simple. If you have a undergraduate degree from a U.S. university and over a 3.0, admission is essentially automatic. You will need a transcript, but that's all. You don't need any letters of recommendation. If you're applying online and you go down through the process, and where it asks for letters of recommendation, if you have a 3.0 GPA, just put my name in there, and that allows you to continue with the application process. So you don't need any letters of recommendation, and it's a pretty simple process. So thanks for coming. You have an evaluation sheet in your packet, which I hope you'll fill out because it helps us, it should be in the black folder, I guess. It helps us plan for the future. And I guess there aren't any questions, and it sounds like any general questions, but if anybody wants to come up and talk to any of us privately, then you're welcome to do that. think that's it. Oh, let me just point out, as I said before, you have in the back of your packet, you have pages there on each of the courses, including the cybersecurity courses. That's there for reference. So, thanks very much.